And we are live.
Fantastic. Thank you, Raoul. And welcome, everybody. This is Thursday, the 29th of June, around 4, through Craft Academy style. And we are at Craft Academy headquarters in Stockholm, at our offices at Open Lab, at the campus of Royal Institute of Technology. We have some students in the room. We also are pleased to have a lot of students and coaches, the like, on remote. So big welcome to everybody and to this first time Fireside Chats, Craft Academy style. Today it's our second career day, and it's our first broadcasted career day. And we have Emma Sjöström with us here today, who is a former camper from a boot camp school. Not our school, unfortunately, but another school. And you're here to tell us about, just gonna fix this thing. Tell us about your experiences as a camper, and what made you go into that, and how did you manage to get, like, into a job position here in Stockholm afterwards? What were your thoughts when going into looking for a job? What was your strategy? What were you thinking about? Could be good points. How did you meet people? Stuff like that. So welcome.
Thank you.
To Craft Academy.
Cool. So hi guys. My name is Emma. And yes, so I went to a similar boot camp. I did it remote, and that was a year ago now. And
when you say you did it remote, does
yes.
it mean that you were sitting in some place? Were you sitting at home?
Yes, I was sitting at home. I basically locked myself up in my apartment for, also 12 weeks.
Right.
But it was really amazing. So I guess you guys know what I'm talking about. You might have felt kind of tired.
Yeah.
At times. It's really intense. So my recommendation is the first thing you do when it's over is just take a vacation.
How long was your vacation?
2 months. It was July, and I was like, I need to get outside.
Yeah.
Get some vitamin D going. Yeah. So that's what I did, while also just starting to think about what I wanted to do in terms of taking and finding a job as a developer, because it's not that easy. You find out a lot more about what it means during this kind of boot camp. But it still may be perhaps, in terms of, so it depends a lot about what you've done before, right? So perhaps.
So tell us about your background.
Okay. So I originally, I did my master in business, and then I got into computer science for a bit. I did a year here at the Royal Institute of Technology. But then I got a prestigious job at a media company. So I quit my studies and started working there. And,
what was that prestigious job about?
Well, it was like I got in as an intern, and then I was offered a project manager role after 3 months.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah, sure. But it was a very harsh climate and very competitive environment, and very, very not chill. So I lasted 10 months, and then I quit. Then I joined another company as a trainee there, and after 2 months they fired me. Not my bad, actually. They fired all their trainees because they had to cut costs.
Okay.
Yeah, but that gave me a glimpse of what kind of employer I wanted to work for. They were very kind and very caring in terms of your personal development and what you wanted to do with your life, and especially your time there. But after that, I just flipped the table and I started a company and did some freelancing and entrepreneurial stuff for 3 years. And then I did the boot camp.
What pushed you over this, let's say, this threshold to begin, to take the boot camp? Had you been thinking about it for a long time?
Yes. Well, perhaps not the boot camp per se, but to be full-time developer. It really frustrated me to not being able to create for example, an application or a product myself. And it's kind of expensive to use developers, and it should be. But when you work with young companies and startups, it's a bit of a problem. And so, no, I just felt like it was time to take that step and really just do it. And fortunately, there are 12 weeks, like camps where you can go and just learn it and do it, and then you actually get jobs. So it's pretty cool. That's my background, I guess. And yeah, but so you do become a bit damaged if you have worked with a lot of young companies that are like filled with entrepreneurial energy, and you want that in your other new job as well.
Right.
And so tech companies can be really fun or really boring. Normally the really boring ones pay you better, but
Sorry, they pay you better?
like you could go work for a bank.
Right.
But it might not be the most exciting tech.
Mm-hmm. What was your tech?
Oh, well, web. So we did Ruby and some JavaScript mostly. But I did some Java before that as well. So I don't know, I just wanted to build products that people would use. So I applied for several jobs, of course. And I ended up my first employment at a company that develops mobile games.
Right.
And I did like admin systems for their games, which is needed for content management, like depending on countries, like localizations and stuff like that. And it was fun, but what I really thought was important in your first job was this rapid like learning acceleration. Like you need to sort of cherish the fact that you're motivated when you start out, and then you need to really use that when you start working and be hungry and really like try to learn a lot as soon as you can, as fast as you can, because that motivation in my experience kind of slopes downwards a little bit after a while. And I just didn't feel that that place allowed me to learn so much.
Right.
It was a lot like to sit in that corner and do what we tell you kind of job. And then it was like, but being a developer is about more than just sitting and writing code. It's about working in a team. It's about like estimating things together. It's about, you know, developing features together and build them together.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you end up with a lot more bugs in your code and yeah, stuff like that.
So that's pretty important here at Craft Academy, what we do. I mean, people in the room and also still in camp online, this, regardless of where you are, we always try to pair program or at least be a couple of eyes on it so it gets, you know, you go faster.
Yeah.
So that was not the case for this first job that you got.
No,
after
exactly.
bootcamp.
It was very like sit there by yourself and do the stuff. And sure, it's fun to code, but doing it alone after a while, you start feeling isolated and yeah.
But how did you come across that job? I mean, you said after bootcamp, this was his first real job.
Yes. So, okay. Well, I guess my pro tip is, as always, network.
Right.
So, you know, if you don't have a huge network with friends or former colleagues or whatever who works as developers or at companies in need of developers, go to events, go to meetups. Stockholm has lots of tech meetups.
Yeah.
So that's how I got a lot of leads for a lot of jobs. But this particular job, I actually just went on and applied. And it was not a junior position. So don't look for junior positions.
So what's that logic?
But like all employers will write that they want you to have 3 to 5 years of experience minimum, blah, 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 yada, yada. But they're happy if they can just get someone with the right mindset. And, you know, if you go there and you say, oh, I've been coding for 12 weeks, let me show you what I can do. Give me an assignment.
Right.
And you deliver on that. It will be kind of mind-blowing because there are still a lot of like prejudices around these boot camps. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
Yeah. Like you can't learn to code in 12 weeks. Come on. Right. And then you show them what you can do. And you can show them that you wrote tests to it and everything is really like well done. And then it will be like, this is interesting. If you learn this in 12 weeks, what can you learn in another 12 weeks?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a very powerful thing to have. It's actually a great thing to have. Instead of saying, I've been doing this for 3 years, not so impressed, which is the case many times for more senior developers. Their code is less craftsmanshipy. So, yeah.
So you just applied and hope for the best and said, I'm going to show them what I can do.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to dare to be kind of aggressive in that.
What is that aggressive? Is it like you call a lot of the times, or is it about having the confidence to like step in through the door, or what is it?
Confidence in your own ability to learn.
To learn?
Yes, you don't want to go in there and say, I know everything and I'm perfect, but you want to go in there and say, look at what I know already.
Right.
And honestly, if they are hesitating, ask them in a nice way to give you an assignment. Go home, do the assignment. Look at it as a way of, practicing what you need to do anyway. And, then then you will have something like to talk about.
Right.
Instead of just them taking a leap of faith on you.
And did you show them, for instance, your GitHub repo?
Yes, but so that was a really important component when it comes to them taking me into the interview.
Right.
But it was perhaps not enough at all times for every company. So that's when the assignment comes in. So you can prove that you can actually create something based on what they want. Honestly, I think even if they don't give you an assignment, say I want an assignment.
Right, just demand one.
Yes.
So what did they give you?
So this company, they actually just wanted me to. It was an API.
Right.
And that was kind of complicated. It was a huge database of games from all over the place, all genres, all years, like a lot of different categories, and it was not the best documentation, so you would have to know how to play around a little bit with the queries and see what would happen and to figure it out.
Right.
And then they wanted you to present it in a nice way. So that assignment was not the worst, but then they also did a whiteboard interview.
Oh God, What's that?
Pseudocode on a whiteboard, for example. So they would give you problems and then you would solve them using, pen and whiteboard. You wouldn't have to write perfect code, but like the algorithms.
Right.
And then it would be also guesstimates and some tricky riddles. Yeah.
How'd that feel?
I mean, it was fun, but the code was ironically kind of scary.
Really?
Yeah, it's a different feeling to stand by a whiteboard, having 6 pairs of eyes staring at you, your every move. So it was really not pleasant. So go for the assignment. It's, I promise you, better. But it went well. But I've had most assignments are about if you're searching a position as a web developer. It's mostly about you're going to use some kind of API, you're going to fetch data, you're going to present the data somehow. There might be some functionality to the web application that you're building that they want you to do. It may be about you being able to see a design and implement it so it looks the same. It's very different.
So is it taking a JSON response and formatting it with HTML stuff?
Yeah, and it could be and you should use this framework.
Right.
Or it could be we want you to build something in a language you've never used before.
Okay.
Just to prove that you can learn new things, because that's the most important quality in a junior developer.
In a junior?
Yeah.
Would you say that's the average mindset for juniors? I mean, the average expectations for juniors, that they're there because they have the power and the hunger?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, a lot of good seniors still have that hunger because they love to code.
Yeah.
But they can still find jobs even though they don't sell themselves on that unique selling point. I learn new things a lot. Perhaps it's more about I really know this.
Right, yeah.
Even though I'm not saying it's not important for seniors to keep learning new stuff, but.
So how long did you get to complete this assignment?
Oh, it would vary. Like normally they're quite generous in time, a week, 2 weeks. Like they understand you have a life and you send it in to them when you're ready. So it's not that stressful.
So it's not like boot camp. It's like,
no.
Where's the PR?
No. Exactly.
You know who you are.
But when you do your assignment, make sure you actually do commits and everything in order, so it looks neat and like how to do that part as well, because they will look into that.
So that's really interesting to talk about, this hunger and the wish to learn more and the capacity to learn a lot in a short period of time as a common thing for campers to show as strength.
Yeah.
What about you? What are your personal strengths?
Well, I would say that I just really like to code. I like to learn stuff. I like to learn how to learn stuff. And I've always been kind of, I don't know, I'm one of these weird people who kind of enjoyed school even. So I guess that's my strength. And then also just, I'm not afraid of being wrong.
Right.
Like today I realized at work, oh my God, I forgot how to CSS. Like it feels like such a basic thing that I should know by now. But the fact is, if you don't write that much CSS, you're more about the logic. And then it's like, is this yeah, okay. Like, and then you have to go ask your colleagues, because you have senior colleagues that are usually very happy to help.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of just like, I don't know what I'm doing, help.
Right.
Because that's the fastest way to just resolve the issue and get on with your life, instead of just sitting there and trying to do everything yourself always. It will cost you a lot of time.
Right.
Like, don't run to people asking for help and you can easily Google the answer. But if it's like perhaps on a conceptual level and like, how should I structure this? And your colleague can answer you in like 2 minutes, just ask them. And yeah. And be honest about what you do know, what you don't know, what you're planning on learning.
Right. Did you get, let's pause that question that I was about to ask for a minute. Okay. So that was their first job. You said the first. What happened later?
Oh, I quit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, again.
Again. You have this history of quitting.
Yeah, I know it's not that flattering. But I found a new one.
Tell us about it.
So I realized I wanted to work more team-oriented.
Instead of sitting alone in a corner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, yeah. It's a cultural issue. Some companies, have different cultures.
Yeah.
Company cultures. And so I found this company called Futurist, where I'm currently working. And it's a Finnish company.
Yeah. What do you guys do?
Huh?
What do you do?
So I'm a software developer there. For the moment, I'm working at, a web application for a client, and mostly in the front-end realm of JavaScript, React. So I solve bugs, I implement new features.
So what does the company do?
The company is a consultancy company within IT. But it has a strong focus only on like designers, developers, and some business people, but we don't have a lot of like overhead in terms of a finance department, a marketing department, blah, blah, blah. So it's very focused towards like the actual people who are driving the business, kind of. And
what kind of solutions are there?
Sorry?
What kind of solutions do you guys offer?
It could be a lot of things. It's what we do now. We've done, for example, Finnair. We're trying face recognition check-in instead of like, the normal procedure.
Yeah.
Normal web applications for, companies who want more clients. So, increase conversions, stuff like that. it really depends on the client and the needs of the client. We're very flexible.
Right.
And what's great about this company, which I find great also for me, is that most people are quite interdisciplinary.
Mm-hmm.
So we have designers who can also code, and we have designers who also know business development. We have developers who know business development. We have there is the line between our fields are quite blurry.
Mm-hmm.
So you're still like an expert on something, but a lot of people are really good at other stuff as well. So when you develop a new concept for a client, it's very fluent. Like you can talk to each other in a very fluent way, and everyone, it turns out pretty good in the end.
Does your background help you there?
Yeah, definitely. They're happy to have people who's done some entrepreneurial stuff, or designers, or whatever, people who knows about other things. And it doesn't have to be one of these traditional areas of competence either.
Right.
It's always good with another perspective on whatever you're doing. And I feel that they're actually really utilizing that more than perhaps a lot of other companies does. Then it's like the developer does the developing, the designer does the designing, and then we try to communicate.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a plus that people can quickly just switch the perspective.
Yeah, exactly. And we try to be kind of interested in what the others are doing as well, so we understand, and
Yeah. So you were mentioning some languages now in the things that you're doing, and I'm curious. Perhaps this is always the question about, I don't know, amongst campers, but did you actually get to use the languages and the skill sets that you learned in bootcamp?
So I think one should not confuse skill sets with languages.
Thank you. Good answer.
Because no, I'm not using Ruby, which was the main language we learned, along with Rails as the framework. I'm mostly in JavaScript, and I'm learning some Scala right now. And JavaScript was not my strongest language of the two, if I'm going to be honest. But it's more about really focusing on understanding the concepts of different programming languages and how they are different to each other.
Right.
Like if you want to learn something, focus on why does this language work in this way, and what's the pros and cons of that. And then you can more easily understand another language, and what makes this language strong and good for various purposes. So, and in terms of the skill set, it's what I feel has been most valuable is the fact that I can do a proper pull request. People don't get angry with me because I don't know how to commit properly, and how to do a pull request, and how to also review somebody else's pull request, and this whole thing of just diving into somebody else's code and not be afraid and just do stuff instead of hesitating and, oh, what is Git? That is a really good skill to have.
So how do you get to that? How do you get to that point where you have this approach to things that you have?
Well, I learned a lot during the boot camp, and I guess the trick is to value the fluffy stuff, like the how to work with other people, because that's what people will like you for in the workplace more than you being an awesome coder, because that's nice, but you have to work with other people. So don't piss them off. Yeah.
But I also get the impression that you are not afraid of, for instance, as you said, diving into code.
No, I mean, if you're afraid of code, what's the point, of being a developer? It's scary. Sometimes you feel like, shit, I'm gonna break this, but maybe that's great. Break it.
Yeah.
You can always go back to earlier commits, or just check out on a new branch on your computer and break the thing to understand it. See what happens if I try to refactor this part here. What's the worst thing that can happen?
So in a bit failing.
Yeah. Well, failing, deliberately
or
break
trying.
it to learn. Yeah, I mean, you're going to fail a lot when you start working as a developer. You're going to feel like you're going to have that imposter syndrome up to here every day, but it's good.
Imposter syndrome?
Yeah, well, I mean, especially as a junior, you feel like perhaps you don't really know anything, and you don't.
And the employer okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, as long as, I mean, most developers that I've spoken to, they feel the same. Oh, I've been a developer for 15 years. I have no idea what I'm doing, even though that person is someone you feel is awesome, and you learn so much from. He or she is still like very, aware of the tech landscape and how many things there are to learn constantly. And so I think everybody feels a little bit like an imposter in this profession. I heard it's a thing. But better that and be humble than like the opposite, thinking you know everything, because that's not going to do you any favors.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it wasn't difficult for you to shift into these different languages, coming from a JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Ruby, Rails background. Do you have it like in a mobile frameworks that you got with you and switching over for React?
Yeah, no, sure. Well, I learned Angular, and then we're using React where I work now. But you have to understand, it's just it's just a library, and it's just a few other ways of conceptualizing things that you need to understand. It's still JavaScript. It's still a web application. And no.
Not difficult.
It's, of course, takes work. It's not like it's super easy. You just sit there and you read something for half an hour and, you understand everything now. You have to do the work.
Mm.
But I think you should feel comfortable that like once you've learned basics of one framework and one language, you will quite quickly grasp the basics of a new one. In my experience, which is not that like huge, but
sounds very good though. Just put in some extra work and you will get it.
But like remember to be kind with yourself. Like when you don't understand and when you feel like you're an idiot, just like leave it, walk away, get some air.
As opposed to
sitting there and like forcing yourself to try to understand it, because that's not going to work.
Right.
So just leave, go and have a beer with a friend, and try again the next day.
Did you do this like in boot camp?
Have beer with friends? I wish my friends were like, where are you?
It's like leave it for a day and then come back maybe later.
No, then it was mostly like having out, maybe 15 minutes to myself in my apartment, like just No, but boot camps, I mean, then you are with someone, you're normally pair programming, and so you can sort of talk and reason with someone. If you're by yourself, it's a little bit less productive.
Right.
Because you tend to get stuck easier, at least I do.
So back to this, let's do it in a gang.
Yeah,
thing.
like use each other. Like even if you're done, like meet up, code, learn stuff, or just do a hangout or ask someone else that you know who knows how to code, and just, you want to learn this, you want to learn React? Okay, let's learn React together.
Cool.
It's good because it also gives you the focus, the right kind of focus. If you're like, okay, we're going to build a to-do app in React.
Right.
Okay, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like that, bam, do it.
Yeah. It's easier if there's two of you. Like it's like exercising or anything. It's easier if you have someone else who's like, yeah.
Cool. So we have a couple of minutes before we go into questions.
Okay.
From you guys. You guys in the room already got a question. You said that you were into this, you were trying some different employers. I mean, you had this first job and now you have this futures. Did it help you to understand what kind of employer you were looking for to have this first job?
Yeah, sure.
Or did you know already from the past,
like
what kind of organization you like to be in, what kind of leadership you want to be with?
Yeah, sure, to some extent. Like freedom is very important to me. If I drop in at work at 9:30, that shouldn't be a big deal, because I'll work until 7 in the evening and I will get shit done. And I need that freedom, meaning trust from the employer. It's not just about working hours. It's just about being trusted that you will get shit done. So that's important. And then it's important to have fun. Like, you will function so much better if you're laughing and enjoying yourself at work, rather than feeling like super stressed and pressured and not having fun colleagues and everything is a competition. That's not at all my kind of thing.
Right.
But what I learned from the first job was mostly this thing that I realized how much I needed and wanted to work in a team with other developers, as opposed to sitting by myself, because that gets kind of boring.
Yeah. Would you say that the more kind of modern firms that think this way? Like, you have a team and people?
Yeah, but there are a lot of modern firms who just throw in a ping pong table and say we're super awesome and we work like this, and then they don't. So you have to, unfortunately, just apply to a lot of places, go to a lot of interviews, try really hard to get a feel for what they're really like. Ask. This is a big mistake I did. Ask to meet the people that you will actually be working with, if possible, before you accept. Just to know that you will, all get along and that you will feel, we're kind of on the same wavelength.
Yeah. Was that also a trick to figure out what kind of company they are? If they just threw in the ping pong table because they had to, or if they were genuine? I mean, meeting the people.
Exactly. Definitely. Yeah.
Cool. So anything else you want to tell us about your fantastic job? How many people are in Stockholm?
Oh, we're 20 people there now. We're about 400, I think, company-wide.
Oh, wow.
But we're in Finland, London, Germany, and Sweden. So Sweden is quite new. We've only been around for a year, right? Oh, yeah.
Are they still hiring?
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have like this massive growth plans, like from here to?
Yeah, of course.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Yeah. No, we're hiring, and it's. I mean, I like it there. It's. I can't. It's. You have to decide for yourselves. But we have a website when you can read about our culture, and they really, really care about the culture. Like, the founders are all developers, and they're really like invested in making their people stay there.
Right.
So we do a lot of fun stuff also, like trips and.
Have you been to any trips?
Yes, I've been to. We do an onboarding camp in Helsinki, where our headquarters are, and then just a couple of weeks ago, the whole company flew into Prague.
Beautiful city.
Yes, very beautiful. And we had like internal conferences and like parties, and you get to know and meet the people from the other offices, which is really nice because you actually have to cooperate with them as well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Is it because you have clients that are covering all the European market or these certain countries? Or?
Yeah, it can be that. It can be like some clients like Nordea, they exist in more countries in Sweden. So, yeah. And we try to, we have to help each other out in various ways.
Right. Yeah. So you have like Ruby Coders Club, aficionado, meetup for beer.
No, well, maybe in Helsinki.
Okay.
But I think like being a consultant means that you learn more, like a lot of new stuff, and you have to be comfortable and like, okay, so if the client wants you or some other more experienced guy says like, okay, Elm would be a nice choice for this project, or wouldn't it be fun to make this in Elm? Then it's like, okay, you have to learn a new language, and that's like part of the fun. It's really nice to really know something and feel competent, but the truth is that like even if you learn one framework really, really well or one language really, really well, it's not necessarily going to benefit you forever.
Right.
It's good to have some depth, but it's also good to not be afraid of like diversifying a little bit and just learn weird stuff because it's fun or whatever.
So it sounds like fun, and I would be looking forward to visiting you guys.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it. You're in a move, you said, right now.
Yes.
So probably in August.
yeah, maybe sooner, but
You let me know.
I'll let you know for sure.
That's
We
great.
just want to have a nice and tidy office that's not boxes everywhere. You'll get the wrong impression.
I don't think so. After you're here, I'm not so sure. But that's for me the questions that I had.
Yeah.
So let's open up the floor to the rest of the people in the room and also on remote to ask some questions for Emma if you have any.
Yeah, I can start perhaps. Thomas here.
Hello.
All right. So thank you for a wonderful presentation. Very inspiring, and you've done quite a remarkable journey. I think it's really awesome that you could take the time to share that with all of us. I have a question. I have a question about when you were out searching for jobs. You mentioned that there could be some attitudes toward bootcamp graduates that are not always positive. People perhaps don't understand the bootcamp concept yet. But what sort of attitudes did you encounter, and what did you get to hear about the bootcamp as a concept itself?
Yeah, I think your worst enemy, if I may call it that, will be the developer who's in charge of the hiring process, who feels slightly to extremely threatened by the fact that you come in as a candidate and you have learned to code in 12 weeks. And you may perhaps be kind of good at it, while this person has been coding for 10 years. It creates a bit of a weird situation, and you have to be very gentle and very humble, and yes, but that's because I really love coding and I love to learn stuff, and try to phrase it that way. So try to make the person feel a little bit more comfortable. That's at least in my experience one of the most common reactions towards code camps, and the skepticism more about no way you can do anything productive or build anything after 12 weeks. I've been doing this for 10 years. Come on. So that's one thing. And then I just think if it's another decision maker, perhaps a manager of some sorts without a coding background, it's a risk for them not knowing that there's an equality to your work, right? Because it sounds weird, 12 weeks, and then you can be a developer, and everyone thinks it's so difficult to be a developer. It's not. So yeah, I think those are the two main types you will encounter. And for the manager, you just have to say let me prove it to you, give them an assignment, have your developers look at it. And for the developer who feels threatened, just try to de-dramatize the situation, and just, when someone gives you a snarky comment about cool story, bro, that's not possible, try to not react back, and just try to be very humble. And that actually gave me one lead to a job, talking to this person, and have them ask you what you've learned, and be honest what you know and what you don't know. I guess that's it.
So you mean that you encounter this sort of people also when you're networking and mingling about?
Yeah. They can be everywhere, and perhaps it's a bit worse, having long blonde hair, being a girl. Oh, I learned to code in 12 weeks. Hire me. But you will still encounter them. They will still be skeptical towards you. But just be nice and humble back and say, okay, but give me a chance. I can prove it to you. That will intrigue them.
Yeah.
Can I have a follow-up though, since you mentioned the blonde hair and everything? So as a woman in tech, how is that? And because we hear that there is an underrepresentation of women in technology, and Craft Academy is committed to do something about it as well. We offer scholarships and stuff like that. But your personal experience. So not only do you come from a 12-week boot camp, which is an alternative way to enter the industry, but you are also a woman and blonde. How did that work for you?
Well, about the blonde hair, I dyed my hair blonde ironically in 2010.
Awesome.
It just kind of stuck with me because it's kind of fun when people approach me. They usually, assume I'm a nurse or I work maybe in PR. Or it's really fun to just mess with people that way.
Yeah.
But for the women in tech part, yeah, it's not always easy. There are a lot of really smug dudes out there. But I guess you just have to.
Emma, it's okay to say assholes at Crafting.
Okay, assholes.
That's okay.
But honestly, there were a lot of assholes in other industries I've been working in as well. So I guess the best. I mean, sure, there are issues, but there are more female developers out there, and we are trying to find each other. We hang out with each other. We discuss code with each other because it tends to get a little bit less aggressive than if you do it with some men. And I don't know. I guess the sad part is that you as a woman in tech has to take responsibility to not get provoked. You have to, unfortunately, just ignore it. Change the things you can, accept the things you can't change for now. And yeah. But truth to be told, my experience, there are a lot of super nice male developers out there who are more than happy to help you. I have a mentor, Fredrik is his name, he's amazing. So in my experience so far, the good has far outweighed the bad. But I know I'm not going to try and say that there aren't problems, but maybe in Sweden we are kind of okay. Perhaps I can imagine it's worse in countries like America or where there are not so big on equality and feminism and stuff like that. So I don't know.
But isn't there people that are also seeing the benefit of having a diverse,
yes,
not only having men and
yes, of
women,
course. Yeah, good point. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's what my current company is about. They're very open that way. So, yeah, you have to find a place where you're not alone with 20 guys who are trying to teach you all the time. I guess that's a good tip. But even if that's the situation, see it as an opportunity to learn a little bit about how these people work. And you will come out stronger in the other side, and next challenge will be yeah.
What would you say?
But thank you for asking.
Yeah. Sorry.
No.
I was just questioning, what would you say is the job market for juniors? So my impression is that, they, as you said yourself, they see people that have 3 to 5 years experience and not so much someone that is freshly out. But it seems like for you anyway, it was fairly easy then to kind of choose. So is it okay for juniors as well to find a way out in the job market?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But be open about it. Shoot them an application. Try to make it personal. All the normal stuff. And just say yes, I'm junior, but I learned all this in just 12 weeks. Try me, please. Give me a chance, and I will prove it to you. And that usually works, but it's easier if you're talking to someone directly than trying to convince them via email. So they have no relationship with you. They don't think.
So how do you make it so that you can meet them? Is it through these associations you spoke about and kind of tech meets and those things? Or?
Yeah, meetups is great. And then I use a lot of personal contacts as well. Just trying to dig around, see if anyone worked somewhere where they needed developers. A lot of companies, with every job, they don't always have an ad out, but they may be growing and they may be interested in hiring juniors because right now they're in a phase where they have some seniors that are willing to mentor you, and there's a value to them in hiring juniors as well that are willing to quickly step up and learn and be a good asset to the company. So I just say, don't search for junior positions. Just look at the position, what kind of, and avoid companies that are oh, you should know this and this and this and this, this long checklist. Avoid them because they don't know what they want.
Okay.
You want someone who wants for you, your other experiences, what else, like besides code that you can bring to the table, right?
Mm.
Do you get along with their team? Do you understand their business? Like, where's your passion in general, not just
right.
like, oh, yeah, I don't know this test framework. Just I'll learn it.
Right. Because everything is changing anyway. So, I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't have the right mindset and the right way of going about it, then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, talk to everyone you know. And just, it's the same, like, with every profession, I think. Networking is easier.
Mm.
But yeah, my current job, I just wrote an email to, actually. And try to be a little bit personal, because most companies are very, very like interested in finding that cultural fit. At least the fun companies that you want to work with. They care about, like, how does this person come across? Is this a good fit for us? Yeah. So don't be afraid to have some personality, is what I'm saying, even in your email. Yeah.
A little bit leave the ego out of the email as well.
Yeah, sure. Sure. Exactly. What I did was I created like a resume on GitHub, just a markdown file that has, like, okay, so this is what I do know, kind of, like Ruby, like some JavaScript, ES6, these testing frameworks. I know some stuff about databases. And this is a little text about me, what kind of person am I, sort of. And here are some example projects, like that I link directly to other parts of my GitHub. And that's basically all they need to know about my skill set. So then the email can be more about, like, what I can bring to the table for them and just why I thought they seemed so awesome. And if they find that intriguing, they can just go on to LinkedIn or GitHub and find out more about that part of me.
That's interesting what you say, when you found interesting about them and then telling them that.
Yeah, definitely. It's always better to express an interest towards the person you're trying to charm the company.
Yes.
Rather than saying, I'm awesome, we should meet. That's weird. It doesn't work for anyone in any context ever. For sure.
So the way to find out then what you like about them, how do you do that?
And that's the tricky part. If you're lucky, you met some people from the company at a meetup or something, and you got a good feeling. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just get a good feeling about someone or some people. And sometimes you just have to wing it. I winged it, both these positions I both winged.
What's that mean in this context?
Well, the first one, they felt really good in terms of their managers were really good, and the people who interviewed me at first and stuff like that. And they had a ping pong table, so I was like, how bad can it be?
There's a ping pong table.
So,
like that, how bad could it be?
But Futurist has actually put a lot of effort into describing our culture, and I appreciated that, because for me that's also something I find important. You care about the context in which your employees are working every day and how they feel and like stuff like that. So you can read on it about it on their website. But and then I just met with Palle, who is responsible for recruitment in Sweden, in Stockholm office, and super nice guy. And you just kept meeting the other people, the other managers, like super nice, and then the other developers, and everyone are like really relaxed and friendly. And then you feel, oh, this is a very prestige-less environment. Nice. So that's what works for me. Perhaps somebody else wants a little bit more hardcore, like, I don't know, finance stuff, but it's not for me.
Do you work in-house or at clients?
Mostly in-house. So yeah, we do mostly in-house. But if the client wants you to sit with them, you sit with them. And it's usually kind of flexible how we work. We do it, so if we're a team, and we have this client, we get to decide within the team how we work, and with the customer, of course. And you know, a lot of the times the customer prefers to come to us.
How is that to go to a new workplace every now and then, and meeting up a new team perhaps, and working at clients?
Oh yeah.
With your experience?
I haven't done that for this position.
Okay.
I've been only in-house and just been with the client like briefly, not working there.
Yeah.
But in general, from like my freelancing days when I was working with multiple companies, it's usually really nice. They're usually kind of happy to have you there. But of course, there are, if I listen to my colleagues, there are some, you know, challenges of being a consultant. It's not always super easy and super smooth, but we are a really like tight team at Futurist, and so we support each other and we have a lot of fun, and they can like call and like rant about stuff and it just, you know, let some steam off. But most of our clients are really nice and we have really interesting projects. But yeah, sure, sometimes it's not going to be rainbows and unicorns.
So you talked a lot about this teamwork, yeah. So in what way are you doing? Do you do a lot of pair programming, or is it that you kind of, as you said, you can talk to others when you need them, or how does it? In what way are you having?
Oh, yeah, like all the ways you just mentioned,
okay.
And just so if we are a few developers in a team, we get to decide. Okay, this is what we need to get done. We get to decide how to get it done. Like, it's pretty relaxed. It can be just like, okay, we just prioritize the issues and then we work from the like bottom down through as far as we get this week. We have this many hours from the client, so let's really be efficient and just do as much as we can. And I mean, if we want to have daily stand-ups, we have daily stand-ups. If we want to do them every other day, we do them every other day. Like, if it is a small team, it can be a bit less formal. Like, we all see what we're doing, and we have to approve each other's pull requests anyway. So it's, yeah, it's very free. And like I said, it's something I appreciate a lot. There's no one from the top dictating to you how to do things. So yeah, it's a responsibility, of course, but you get to do things in a way that's comfortable for everyone, which is great. Yeah.
How many jobs did you apply for before you got your first job?
Maybe 10.
Wow.
And I was interviewed with 5, I think, that first. And then I got 3 offers.
So 30% success rate.
Yeah. So, but yeah.
That's an awesome success rate, I would say. I would like
I
to.
was surprised.
Well, you know, it's so it's basically about mathematics. I would say, you know, you have to be out there and searching for jobs, talk to a lot of people, and that trickles down, right? So, but look, I have a question. And I mean, you've been through this journey, and you are out there. You're a professional developer today, and in retrospective, what sort of advice would you give to other boot campers, or if you would to meet yourself before you started the boot camp, what advice would you give to yourself through the, you know, in order to get through the boot camp in the best possible way and get the most value out of it?
Eat better food. No, but like just relax, I would say, is the main point, because there will be some things that you don't grasp to 100% during the boot camp. But if you do not and you have to move on, just move on. Don't like obsess about trying to understand every single detail about every single thing that you do, because it will hold you back. You will still learn enough to go forward, and like focus on the big concepts, the big things that you have to understand, rather than like how is the ins and outs and like every single workings of this specific part of this thingy that I'm doing, because that's really not going to do you any good. You can do that later. So just relax, just do your best, and just move forward. You don't have to learn everything. It will come gradually. And I don't know, just try to remember also that the people you're in the boot camp with may be kind of good to stay in contact with after the boot camp, because you never know where people ends up. Perhaps that can give you a job. Perhaps like in 5 years, it's a really good entrance to an awesome job. And just in general, it's a good support. Like I said, while you're applying, you can just call each other up, do some pair programming, learn a new framework, do whatever. And it's nicer to do it with people than by yourself. Like, of course, some things are nicer to do by yourself, like you can read documentation and get an understanding, but you will move forward faster doing it with someone. And I don't know, don't worry so much. It's true. Companies need developers, so you will find jobs, but you need to do the work when that time comes, and then you will see what you need to learn. Like if you get an assignment, you will know what you know and what you don't know, and then it's the chance to learn deeper about perhaps this React thingy. What is it? Your time will come, but during the boot camp, just relax, enjoy the ride, and what you learn, you will really learn. So yeah, I don't know. My mistake was that at the beginning I got a bit stressed out because I didn't learn everything that we went through because it was such a rapid pace. But when I let go, I kind of just touched down and was able to move forward in a more productive manner, I'd say. Did that make any sense to you? Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great. Thanks.
So we are about to wrap up.
Cool.
I will offer anyone one last question.
Do you have any advice on like writing personal letters to companies, some points that you think is really important for a boot camper? Push.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say, I assume most of us has done something before the boot camp, and you might have other skills that you want to lift forward as well, but don't make that the main focus, but rather try to focus on work-life skills you already have. And then second thing is focus on the content of their ad. Like if they're searching for an outgoing person who loves to solve problems, say that you are that outgoing person who loves to solve problems, and if you're not, don't apply for that job. And for the boot camper, again, I think just be humble. Yes, I've only been doing this for 12 weeks or and a month after that for fun or whatever, but I've learned all this again in this short period of time. I'm really interested in working with you because XYZ. Give me a chance to prove myself. I can, do an assignment. I'll come talk with you. Just give me a chance to prove that I can deliver and learn fast. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. I actually have one last question to you.
Oh.
Yes. And I don't have a t-shirt or anything or a sticker or anything today, but I would like to welcome you and hope you accept to join the Craft Academy family, to have you back for events and different stuff. What do you think? Yeah?
Sounds like fun.
We're honored for that. Thank you. So guys, round of applause for Emma for taking the time off and coming here today with us.
Yeah.
And I guess that concludes our today's career fireside chat. And hopefully it's not the last time. So until next Scrum meeting, happy coding and see you next time. Bye.